Hi everybody, this is Scott Sharp with Fretboard Toolbox, and today we're going to look at the 3 big ideas to know in the key of D major. So let's get started and I'll show you how it works. Today we're going to be using a free tool from my website, and it's under Free Tools and Mastering Keys Checklist. So when you click that, this will come up, and this Mastering Keys Checklist shows the 3 big ideas in the key of C, G, D, A, and E major, and A and E minor. So today we're using the key of D major. So those 3 big ideas in every key are going to be what chords sound cool together, what are some common chord progressions for those for that key, and what are the soloing scales that sound good in that key. To be able to see those 3 big ideas on my Essential Guitar book, we'll go to the key of D major, and my Essential books have the keys of G, A, C, D, and E major, and I'll show you my complete books when we look at the soloing scales. So these are the chords that sound good together. Ignore the one in italics, but there's 3 major chords that make up the key of D major, D major, G major, and A major, and there's 3 minor chords, E minor, F sharp minor, and B minor. And this section shows you 2 big things. It shows you which notes make up the chord, so those are the notes in colored circles. And then across the top here it shows you the D major scale, which is all the notes in white boxes, and then the D major pentatonic, which are the underlined notes. So we'll look at first the key or the chord of D major, and that's called your 1 chord. So D major, you probably learned, looks like this. People always say, you know, start on the 4th string. You can also play the 5th string, but you can't leave the 6th open because it's got that E note. You can if you want to play a little bit of a different chord, but for a straight D major, we're going to hit this D and this A. And if you want to alternate bass notes, go D, A, D, A. And then also there's this F sharp, so sometimes I use this, I hold this F sharp note. So there's, and then you can throw this A on there. There's all sorts of ways to play this chord up the neck. And so pause here and see if you can find some ways to play D major up the neck. So that's your 1 chord. Our 4 chord in the key of D is G major, and that looks like this. And you can throw on this D if you want that sound, or if you take the D off, then it's a B, so it's still G, B, and D notes. You can play G major up here, because that's G, D, G, B, D, G. And again, find those same notes up the fretboard, and notice that the patterns repeat in the same order. And then for A major, I hold it a little bit different. You may hold it like this, or like this, or like this. I just hold it with my middle finger here and this finger, barring the A and E notes. But any way you're playing A major, you've got to play the notes A, C sharp, and E. And so it's okay to play that E note down here if you want to alternate bass notes. Alternating that A and E sounds really good. That's the 1 and 5 note in the key of D major. So what I mean by that is when you're trying to alternate bass notes, shoot for D and A for a D chord, the 1 and 5. Shoot for G and D on a G chord, that's the 1 and 5 for G. And shoot for A and E on an A major chord, that's the 1 and 5. Then my 3 minor chords are E minor, made of E, G, and B, F sharp minor, F sharp, A, C sharp, and B minor, B, D, F sharp. So E minor looks like this, but I could throw on this G if I want, and it's still an E minor. And again, find those minor shapes going all up the neck. And then for the F sharp minor, this is why some people don't like to play in B minor, or in the key of D, because you need a bar chord there. So that's F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A, C sharp, F sharp. Notice that that F sharp minor is the exact same as an E minor. It's just moved up what's called a whole step. So that's E minor, F minor, F sharp minor. That's my 3 chord. And then my 6th chord is also the dreaded B minor. So on that one I want to go, and I want want to hit that B first. And if I want to alternate bass notes, I can go B, F sharp, B, F sharp. And notice that a B minor is just like A minor. This is A minor, this is B flat minor, this is B minor. So it's just like an A minor, it's just your finger becomes the nut to make it a B minor when you put it on the 2nd fret. So that's my 6 main chords. So I want you to rate yourself on how well you can play each of those, from noper, which means you can't do it at all, to yepper, which means it's totally easy. And then I want you to learn some chord progressions. So look at those numbers that go with these chords. D major's my 1 chord, E minor's my 2, F sharp minor's my 3, G major's 4, A major's 5, B minor's 6. Learn those numbers because that makes transposing or changing the key of songs really easy. So some chord progressions in the key of D. I can play D, A, D. That's 1, 5, 1. I can play 1. 4 is G major, 5 is A major. I can play 1. 5 is A major, 4 G major. I can play a 1, 6, 4, 5. That is 1, 6, 4, 5 is D, B minor, G, A. So learn those chord progressions and practice playing through them and see if you can play them in all sorts of different orders. And then go to the Fretboard Toolbox website and go to Tracks and Tab and click on 200 free jam tracks and scroll down to the key of D major. I've got jam tracks for all sorts of different keys and their relative minors and then their blues keys, and all the chord progressions are the same as the ones in my books. So click on D major and then practice strumming along with me while I play guitar on these practice tracks, and practice going through those and getting those chord progressions down well. And then for the third big idea, that's going to be, what are my soloing scales that sound good? And so on all Fretboard Toolbox books, all the notes that are in white boxes are your major scale notes, and then all of the underlined notes are your major pentatonic notes. So if you've heard of pentatonic scales, it sounds kind of cool and scary, but all it is, a major scale is notes in the 1 through 7 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then all the major pentatonic is it gets rid of the 4 note. Notice that one's not underlined. And it gets rid of the 7 note. That one's not underlined. So D major pentatonic is D, E, F sharp, A, B, and then back to D. And so those soloing scales are all going to sound good in the key of D. And with all those chord progressions, if you go to those same jam tracks again, practice these soloing scales over the chord progressions, because scales by themselves are helpful, but scales played with backing tracks are super helpful. So to go through some of those soloing scales, I think they're a little easier to see on my complete editions. And my complete editions show the same 3 big ideas without the colored circles, but they have all the keys. So today we're looking at the key of D major, so I can click on that. All the chords that sound cool together. Here's the notes that build the chords, and if you're not sure about those notes, check this section here and it'll show you which notes make up the chords, and it'll show you which notes or which columns make up the scales. And then go down to the fretboard, and so if I want to play this D to this D, I can play D, E, F sharp, G, A, and then I could go to this B or this open B, and then C sharp, D, and that looks like this. That's D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and then I can go D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, way up here. So then I want you to mess around with the order. That's always a good way to get back up to the D, A, B, D, or B, C sharp, D, F sharp, E, D. And then if you know some songs like some fiddle tunes, Whiskey Before Breakfast is all notes in white boxes. And start looking for, when you're playing a song in the key of D, see if you can start picking out that melody and finding it on the fretboard here. And then if you want to play the major pentatonic, you want just the underline notes. So D to D would be D, E, F sharp, A, B, D, like this. A, B, D. There's C sharp, so that's part of the major scale. And then if you want to make it sound a little bluesier, try these, the flat third or the flat seven note. And that's what makes the key of D really fun, is this flat third and flat seven right here. So listen to what happens when I add those in there. A, C, D, F, E, D, F, E, D, C, B, A, B, C, D. Or this one's really cool, F, F sharp, A, B, D. F, E, D, C, D, C, B, A, F sharp, F, E, D, F sharp, A, B, D. So D is fun. I love the key of D. It's got great walking bass lines. If I'm playing D major and I want to get to the G, I can go E, F sharp, G. And then to get to the A, F sharp, G, A. A, B, C sharp, E, D. So I want you to play around, pause it, and just look at the fretboard and see if you can start finding your way to move around some of these chords and the soloing scales, and try those with the jam tracks. Again, those soloing scales over the jam tracks makes a huge difference. And once you can know what chords to expect in a key and the common chord progressions to look for, or if someone says we're playing a 1-5-4, you're like, okay, 1-5-4, D, A, G. Okay, I got it. And then you know the most likely soloing scale notes, and then when you play a note that's not in white boxes, you can figure out, what did I do that made that sound cool? Oh, okay, I played a flat third note, that's an F. And then I can figure out what's a flat third over a G chord, or what's a flat third over an A chord, and I can get all sorts of cool sounds that way. So that's the main idea. And if you want to learn more about fretboard toolboxes, if you go to pick your instrument, I've got books set up just alike for all these different instruments. And I've got essential and complete editions. If you click on essential versus complete books, that'll go through all those differences with you. I've got print and ebook options that you can compare. All my guitar videos are linked here. And if you click look inside on any of my books, you can download all of the key of G major pages and the instructions for free, so you can play around with it. And if you find it useful, you can pick up a book, and if you don't, you're not out any money. And as long as you're on the site, poke around on these free tools. I've got tons and tons of cool free tools that you can check out, and tracks and tab, and I've got fiddle tunes books, and theory by hand book that teaches you how to make all the chords and scales on your hand. I do online lessons. So anyways, I hope you found some cool stuff today, and I will be back on more Fretboard Fridays with more videos on more of my favorite instruments.